Well, good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV, an interesting discussion, employment abroad this morning. And we're saying that some of the ladies shared their stories and said they went to Dubai, some work in Oman, and said the situation is not favorable. They say that you get there, and when you look at the situation, you say, I would have been better off in this dusty streets of Kampala because I'm not being treated well. I didn't understand the fine print of a contract, and to put it mildly, being sold to people who are actually paying them, and some of that money never comes, and then the idea to come back home is also, non-existent because they can't find ways to the embassy, they can't find ways to anyone to help them. The people who would have supposedly helped them can't help them. So today I wanted to ask about why not stay here? What is so bad about the opportunities we have here? Because even us who are working here, sometimes you have issues understanding the contract you're in. We also had issues to do with doctors. So it's a very short conversation, but probably going to be very valuable. Joining me is a human resource practitioner with Job Connect Limited, and that is Habetsa Deborah. Good morning.
Good morning, Flavia.
And I have a very special guest. After 23 years, he decided to stop working, but I think he's still working on consultancy level. Dr. Peter Eriki. You used to be formerly World Health Organization. Now you're with ACHEST.
Correct.
Dr. Peter, ACHEST is?
African Center for Global Health and Social Transformation.
Okay, you want to passionately talk about the recruitment code.
Yes, of WHO.
Of the World Health Organization.
And the work we did.
And the work you did there.
Yeah.
And of course, probably then loop in that comment of why we're so against Cuban doctors when you think they could be good for us?
Of course. Doctors, depending on the needs of the country.
Training,
you can bring
specialty.
people expertise in areas where you need people.
Definitely.
And of course, they should train, give expertise within the country.
Okay.
And maybe there should be exchange program.
Where our own doctors go
there and get
That's
more.
true. That could work as well. I'd like to start with Deborah, who is a human resource practitioner at Job Connect Limited. Job Connect provides what? HR tools, HR services to different companies.
It's a recruitment, at the same time an HR agency. It deals in contractual management and it also helps organizations to relieve them of their HR functions, mainly. Yes.
All right, so we are talking about working, and it looks like there are greener pastures wherever we want to go. And even those who are employed here, they were talking about how people who are going abroad don't look at the contracts, the fine print, to know where you're going, what are you going to do. But we also don't do that here. Many people sign contracts without necessarily reading every single page. And why do you think that has been, as an HR practitioner who's seen this happen, why don't people pay attention to the details?
Most of the times it's because they think it's just a paper. Let me just sign it. After all, I've got a job, which is not right, because as an organization, we give you a period of 5 working days to go through that contract, read through it, understand it, and it should be in a language that one understands. So if you understand this contract, that is only and only when you should sign. But if you sign without reading through the contract and understanding it, some people just sign. For
a contract is a legal document.
Exactly.
So should I be signing it without a lawyer looking through and telling me what some words are supposedly meaning?
No, by the way, you cannot sign a contract unless you've understood what it is exactly. Okay. So you can actually ask your lawyer for the 5 days that you have with a contract. You can go ahead, ask your lawyer, what can I do? What is this all about? I mean,
so
you're
those
given
who don't
5
get
days.
the 5 days, that's not supposed to happen.
It's supposed to be 5 days.
Because I know many people are given and say, sign now, we have to start working tomorrow. So those are,
I don't know. In most of the cases, that's what happens. But the right thing is, you're given 5 days.
Supposed to be given 5 days. Do we understand our workplace, Deborah? Do we understand, say, I work at NTV, do I understand how the place is supposed to operate? Do I understand the values of this company? Do I align? Who is supposed to tell me, what my workplace is supposed to be like? Because sometimes I assume I know, but perhaps I should be following some guidelines. Do we understand our workplaces?
You are supposed to understand your workplace at the very moment. Okay, not the very day that you come into the organization, but you're taken through some kind of orientation by different departments. So through that, you're able to understand the organization you're working for. You're also able to understand the people you're working with, what you're supposed to do. Through so many things, you're given policies, a policy book by your organization to know what's expected of you, what you're not supposed to do, and what you're supposed to do, and all that kind of thing. Okay,
let's talk about persons with disabilities. Last week, I hosted a lady who's from Nowodu, and was saying that out of 12.4% who are the people with a disability in this country, they're not getting hired. 85% actually not getting hired. And she was saying, let's be honest, some companies find it's a cost burden to be able to include a person with a disability. And you were telling me off air that you cannot discriminate.
Yes, you cannot discriminate. Discrimination is not allowed. Like if that person goes to labor and actually reports that, you know what, I've not been given a job because I'm maybe lame, I'm blind, I'm what. It does not actually make sense if the person can do the job regardless of their disabilities, unless that kind of disability will stop this person to do a certain job that you're giving them. But if it's not going to stop them, then it does not make sense for you to lay out this person and say, I'm not giving you a job because of this and that.
Okay, as before we wind up, just maybe you can explain when it comes to training people to know, because we're saying earlier on in the show that sometimes someone graduates and you assume that when you go to this company, these are the only jobs to do. Is there a way people are advised on how to diversify, you know, their expertise? You don't have to do the same thing as everyone in the company. Do you help with that?
Yes, for the organization I work with, that's Job Connect Limited. We do that. We cannot let you make a mistake. We can't let you push on and do something, yet in actual sense you're not going to handle. Or
and how would you know I wouldn't handle it?
We look through your CV,
okay,
and then through talking to you in person, we get to know that actually this person will handle this or they will not handle it. Then we advise you on the right direction to take.
Would you advise me to not go ahead and take this job?
Yes, if I have another job that's suitable for you.
People are unemployed. There are no jobs. If I can be given that job.
There are jobs. People, the approach of getting these jobs maybe is what is hard, but there are jobs out there. There are jobs, but just that nowadays, the recruitment process, some people go on with a technical know-how, and then...
that one has always been there.
Exactly. And then the years of experience. I mean, you have this person that just right from campus, and you want them to have the 5 years experience. This person is going to lie to you about the experience and maybe forge an organization somewhere that I've worked for that given organization rather. So what you have to do is to find a way. I mean, look out for the jobs online. I mean, there are so many jobs that are posted online on a daily basis. There are so many recruitment firms. You can go and approach the recruitment firms.
So these are my skills.
Exactly.
Align me with the right person.
Exactly. Okay. And also the other issue is some people want particular jobs, but you can actually start with this kind of job as you look for greener pastures rather than just sitting home.
Okay. Speaking of experience, 23 years, Dr. Peter. 23 years. You retired.
Well,
you retired from WHO.
Correct.
But tell us just maybe a bit before we delve into the code, what you did in your 23 years. Some commendable work there.
Well, I think very amazing. I didn't go like looking for
brain drain. You didn't run.
It started all by my presentation in Stockholm during a World Conference of AIDS. When I described the changing patterns of TB, which I thought were due to HIV, they came and wrote to the Ministry of Health asking for me to be released to go and help them develop a common program between TB and HIV. It was meant for 3 months. So the government allowed me, and I was given a formal release.
Okay.
And I went to Geneva. I worked with them for 2 years. After that 2 years, the regional director then saw that he told me and called me to his office during one of the meetings when he was in Geneva. He told me, you're in the wrong place. We need you to come and help us set up tuberculosis programs, because what you are describing is what we are feeling at home in Africa. So I accepted to come and relocated to Brazzaville, where I worked for 6 years, helping the TB programs across the 46 countries.
You say 46 countries.
That's correct.
We are beneficiary
Absolutely
in the 46.
On the dot.
Definitely.
So we helped in expanding what we call the DOTS program, a very effective treatment for TB.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Great stuff there. So tell me about the WHO code that you want to talk about.
Well, the whole story started from, every year around May, ministers of health from all over the world go and meet in Geneva. Health is a global problem.
It is.
So they come and discuss issues and how to harmonize things across countries. In that process, African ministers were pointing fingers at the people in the north. You are taking the cream of our workers. Why? It kept on until when WHO set up a forum for them And they came up with what they call a WHO code in international recruitment.
Okay.
The code is available and was launched in 2010 by the same assembly. Now, this code actually stipulates what should be done by countries where people go to, the ones taking the people, and then what the countries themselves should
that
do.
Are giving people.
Yeah, where the people are living. And indeed, what was very interesting in this is almost a gentle agreement. And countries are supposed to report every 3 years since 2010. They did the first reporting in 2013. Very few countries reported.
Okay.
So now they are using the code to manage their workforce. The next one was 2016. More countries have reported.
Okay.
Now we're expecting them to report in 2019. So member states are preparing to give that. Now, when the code was put in place, WHO thought maybe some work should be done. European Union made money available through WHO. In fact, the funds were from NORAD to request people to check out what lessons can we learn about the movement of these people. So they chose 5 countries for the studies: Ireland, South Africa, India, Uganda, and Nigeria. Now, if you notice, Ireland is regarded as a recipient country where people tend to go.
Not giving back to us.
No.
Okay.
Then the other one, let me finish the story so that you have the rest.
Yes.
And then the other one is the countries where people are living, like Uganda, they live to those countries. And then another one, like South Africa, it's a two-way thing.
As well as South Africa has both.
Yes,
Yeah.
the people come in, others are leaving. But interestingly, in Uganda, Ugandan doctors of health workers are moving within Africa. Not very many go to Europe and so on.
But within the continent.
Within the continent. And many of them go down south. Although people think maybe that's a springboard. After getting more expertise and recognition in the northern countries, maybe they might relocate.
Go somewhere else.
But a number of them finish their work there, and we see some of them back here with quite a lot of developments and so on. So that is the code. Now, when we did the code, we took part actually in Uganda, the studies in Uganda, working with the government, with the organizations which take care of doctors and so on, looking into detail, what could be the problem? What we found out is that actually 32% of registered doctors are trained from overseas.
Our doctors?
No,
Okay.
some of them, and they are working in Uganda, amazingly.
Okay.
So 32%, others from other states come and so on and work. Probably they're working with NGOs and so on and so on, but they are here. Even if the Cubans come, they will be registered and they will be working in the same category like that.
Okay.
Importantly, if you took a country like Nigeria, which is said to be a very extensive exporter, in 2014, in the OECD countries, O is Organization for Economic and Cooperation and Development, there are 34 countries. There were 8,200 Nigerians working in those countries and 27,000 nurses. And last time when I was in Nigeria, about 12 months ago, I was told the numbers living on a yearly basis has risen, and the latest was 1,700 a year.
Living
And going. What is important is we need to look at production. Like Uganda is now getting more universities teaching.
But with the complaint is that even if they're teaching, they're not putting out quality.
That's what they're not coming to that.
Okay, yes.
And it is you training them, then they come to the pool who are now usable people to deliver services. And then there's an exit. You need to develop a system where you can follow these mechanisms.
Okay.
Following, not only seeing the numbers, but are they trained for the purpose? Do they deliver the quality which you require to run your health systems? So all these are packaged. And in fact, a lot of work is going on in this area. And Minister of Health is involved and work with them. We do actually get some hands. Into Health has also done some work around this area.
Fantastic. So just before we wind up, you were not against Cuban doctors coming here. You were saying that, because I heard you saying that perhaps not just them coming, can we also have where our own experts can go train, learn something, and come back and
improve our health.
Exactly, because ideally that should be the point. We want to improve.
Absolutely.
We're not fighting anything, we just want to improve.
No, better services.
Better services.
Can they deliver better things? Are they going to leave some expertise within our own people?
Yes.
That is very critical.
And even here they can train.
Of course.
They can train them
locally,
from here.
yes, sure.
Yes, locally. So it's not.
And they may also learn from us.
You never know, right? There must be something to learn from us also. Thank you so much. You're watching Morning at NTV. You can get some of this, of course, on our hashtag Morning at NTV. It was a very short conversation, but there's always room for more. Dr. Peter Eriki, and I also had from Job Connect, that is Deborah. Maybe Deborah, before we wind up, let me go back to you just to, someone is watching and thinking, I have gone online, Deborah. I have looked at those jobs. And sometimes they ask in that job description things I probably don't understand. How is someone able to, because you know when you go through, as you were saying, sometimes you go through the school system, but are you putting out quality? You know, and someone reads a job description and they think, I don't know if I can do all these things, but I have that degree. You know, that's how it always starts. They ask for that degree, I have it, but the job description doesn't sound like anything I can do. How do I harmonize the two?
Well, what is laid out is the job specification.
Okay.
Then they tell you what they need, the qualifications, maybe the age and experience. Yes, and you only get to get the job description when you're ready at the job. But with this, they've laid out something small for you to tell.
Basics.
Yeah, just the basics. For you to tell that this is what is needed for me to do the job. So when you get there and you're given the job description, you're taken through what work is supposed to be like at that given organization. I think that's when you're to tell if you can really do that job or not. But before you actually apply for this job, do you have those exact qualifications that are in the specification? Because you could apply for that job simply because it is in line with what you studied.
Yes,
but
the degree. You have the degree or
exactly,
the
but do you have everything that they need? Well, I understand some are desirables, but there are some things that are a must that you should have. For example, the years of experience. Maybe that is in line with what you studied, but you don't have the years of experience needed.
I think even in medicine, you must have experience for pretty much every level, if I'm not mistaken.
It's very important.
It's very important. I know in medicine, you don't just go off school into... But I think also it's different because most of the last years of school in medicine, whatever failed, you're actually doing experience. Which
and you're mentored by those who are trained.
Yes.
And that's very critical.
It's very critical,
and
which we don't get in
also on
art.
the patient, people, they're human beings. Should be handled with dignity.
So
and
you must be around
You
them.
must be around. You should learn your skills and really use them.
Definitely. What do I ask at internship? Because unlike the sciences, the arts don't get that chance. You don't get to sit next to the person and learn. We say internship, but the person comes to do internship for I don't know what job, and all they've done for a year is tea. They make the tea, take the tea to the boss, and that's it. So they're not really learning.
Exactly, but even you as someone who is there to do internship, follow up. I mean, I tell people, I understand we just go there just to...
They're doing us a favor.
Exactly, but
yes.
If you really want to gain from it, then talk to your supervisor that's given to you. Tell them, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Or maybe on a daily basis, try to find something major you can do so that you learn from that. And when you go somewhere, you're just not green about something, about what you're supposed to do. I get what you're asking. Ask questions and ask the right questions. You've been watching Morning at NTV. Of course, you can get all of the details on our hashtag Morning at NTV. Have yourselves a lovely, lovely morning.